Hey, what's up, SOBs? That's what we call our fans here at Stream of Blood. Stream of Blood is a tabletop role-playing stream. We do it twice weekly, 1:30 Sundays. That's the one you're watching right now. And at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. Today, we are playing Mothership. It is a horror science fiction game from a company called Tuesday Night Games. This is our second session of Mothership. It's the perfect game. It simulates like a genre of movies that you immediately are like, oh yeah, I know movies like that. Alien for one, but I'm sure you can think of many others. And it fits in with what we do here at Stream of Blood. Stream of Blood, we do role-playing games that feature violence, mayhem, and mind-bending horror as much as possible. So let me introduce you to our players today. None of them are strangers to mind-bending horror, and they gave us an absolutely fantastic game last time. First, let me bring into the room. He is a longtime friend of mine, a legend of Chicago stand-up comedy, a guy who just started, I don't know if he even wants me to say this, he just started a fantasy spy novel that he's writing, and I read the first chapter, and it's fantastic. Please welcome John Roy.
Hello.
Hey, John.
How's it going?
Good. Happy Easter, man.
Happy Easter to you.
And your character's name is Matt McGann. Tell us a little bit about him, just a little bit.
My character's name is Matt McGann. He is a Teamster. He is signed up to be a mechanic on this spaceship voyage, and he's really just trying to come out of this alive.
Yes. We'll see if that's possible. It's Mothership has a very high, I think, threat and death level.
Yeah.
And another thing that the way I differ from a lot of game masters is that I kill characters. I didn't last time, but it could happen this time. Your next guest, this guy, I mean, he's, a veteran streamer. He's got all the toys. And he also is a fantastic Thespian. I found out getting to play with him for the first time on our last Mothership game. It's just a pleasure to have him. Please welcome Ify Nwadiwe.
What's up? Hey, how's it going? Hey. I was light muted. I had to break out of that, but I'm here because I don't want my crunching. I was eating an apple. I didn't want my crunching interrupted. How's it going?
Good, man. Crunch anytime you need to. I'll just say it's like an alien eating a crewman.
Alien atmosphere.
Ify, tell the people a little bit about your character. What's your character?
So my character's a Marine that goes by Jimmy Doucet, who now doesn't have a boss. He's been assigned to this ship, and he's just trying to find his bearings and maybe even find his purpose now that he's not only been through some stuff, but has had his body and mind altered.
Yes, you guys saw some horrifying vistas of non-Euclidean space on your first adventure. Who knows what'll happen this time? Speaking of non-Euclidean space, boy, what a transition. This next guy, he really is just, he is also a Thespian who fills the space when he emotes and creates characters for role-playing games. I love playing games with him. He's the writer of the book, My Life as a Goddess. He was the host of Talk Show, The Game Show. Please welcome Guy Branum, everybody. Guy Branum.
Hello.
Hi, Guy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jared?
I'm very well. I was just telling these guys that I attended your Seder last night, and we had an excellent time.
Thank you so much for coming. I had a really good time.
Yes. And Guy, tell us a little bit about your character here in Mothership.
Callista Lopez is a biologist who's honestly just on this trip to make some money. She recently went through a divorce. It cost a lot of money. It left her with questions about what her purpose is. So she signed on just to lose a couple of years of her life, but get a nest egg. And in the process, became a murderess and saw sides of physical space she never wanted to see before.
That's true. people died on the last episode, but it wasn't any of you guys. But you ended up murdering a couple NPCs. So this is a perfect kind of lead in right into our kind of recap and how I'm going to level you up. Now, I'm not leveling up the characters today according to the exact scheme in Mothership, and the reason I'm not doing that is only because it would take a long time. I think, even though it's very simple and streamlined, it would take a long time. So we're going to do it in a different way. I'm going to ask you what your character did last time. Kind of, in a couple sentences, tell me what they learned or what their experience was on the Tradewind. That's the name of your ship. And based on that, we're going to level you up by giving you a couple new skills or maybe some new percentiles to your attributes. So Matt McGann.
Yes.
John Roy, what did Matt McGann experience or learn in his last voyage here on the Stream of Blood?
Well, Matt learned how to shut down a hyperdrive, or try to do that.
He did, right? Yeah. Was he the one that finally shut down the hyperdrive?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the one who finally shut down the hyperdrive. I tackled Jimmy Doucet to prevent him from shooting Jerry in the head. That ultimately did not work. Jerry was shot in the head.
Yes, he was.
But I did try to stop that.
Yeah.
And,
so by way of
I used a lot of my equipment to try to help us out, and I fired some gunshots into a space blob, and that's pretty much what I did.
John's like, can I have all of these skills?
I like skills.
By way of recap, if anybody's joining us for the first time, there was a jump drive malfunction last time, which transformed the ship into a hyperspatial labyrinth of evil. And several other crew members, other than these three, went insane and had to be murdered by these three. Or maybe they didn't go insane. Maybe they just kind of looked different for a while, and these guys shot them anyway. The point is, John, I think that your big moment with the jump drive, that's got to count for something, right? So what I will let you do is I'll let you hop up from heavy machinery to engineering.
Hot.
Because you spent a lot of time over in the jump drive there, and technically that should be like you also were kind of piloting the ship, and I'll let you take one in piloting.
That sounds great.
Great.
And then my base stats stay the same?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and now let's talk to Dr. Callista Lopez. Dr. Lopez, what did you discover during your adventure last time?
Well, it was a number of skills I haven't used as a research biologist.
Right.
I had to deduce that we were traveling through space differently and do some physics works that I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
I ended up having to talk down Jimmy a couple of times, which was, the kind of management work I haven't had to do before. And I got some combat in there. I managed to use a stun baton and successfully shoot somebody with a tranq pistol.
That's true. All of these things happened. I think that, Dr. Callista Lopez really had to stretch her expertise. So I think maybe she's now got some psychology.
Okay.
And I think that we'll also let her. I think I said this last time, but let's stick with you getting mathematics now.
Cool.
And finally, Jimmy Doucet. Jimmy, your character, if I remember, went into some sort of death spiral last time and was responsible for murdering the XO. But what are some other things that happened to him or that he learned?
Well, I mean, so much. Well, I think the first thing that we can all agree on that Jimmy learned is that, not to freak out if someone points a gun at him. To keep it all together. He doesn't need to go into a murderous rage if someone points a gun at him. I think he's learning more control. I think I imagined before then, Jimmy Doucet, because he was, stuck just guarding a freighter, never had much combat training and was more so just kind of a newer recruit who was kind of getting his wings. And, in spite of everything that went down, even though, who knows who killed those people, but we know when monsters presented themselves, Jimmy Doucet had to step up to the plate and take those monsters out. And I think he got some now real world military training. And I think aside from that, just learn to be more personable with people and kind of knowing the whole arc of what happened in our last instance, knowing to not be as quick to draw the trigger, but more so try and figure out what's going on at first.
Well said. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Jimmy, I think he gets +10 to his fear save.
Ooh, I like
+5 to his sanity save as well.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to let him have firearms. And I also always love asking the players what they think they earned in the last adventure, because you'll have players who are like, and then I cooked a meal. I remember I was the one that turned on the lights when I came into that room. Do I get electronics from that? I love to hear that. But let's start the adventure, and let's begin where we left off. So when the crew finally managed to shut down the hyperdrive, to shut down the jump drive, and they kind of peeled out of hyperspace like unprepared, the stress on the Tradewind, the ship, ripped the bridge off of the ship. There is now no bridge on the ship. Now, luckily, there are blast doors, and there are ways that the ship, when it loses a piece, shuts itself off, so you're not literally venting air into the cold void of space. But you now have no bridge, all right? So here's the other situation. Your hyperdrive wildly malfunctioned, and you are now in unknown space. You are in a section of space you are unfamiliar with, because the way a jump drive works, at least in my little universe, is that it's a little bit like fast forwarding a video, and you have to stop fast forwarding right when you want the ship to reach its destination. But basically, because the jump drive was just running like out of control, you guys fast forwarded all the way to the end of the movie. You're somewhere out in unknown space with an unreliable jump drive and no bridge. And we can get into what some of those things mean in a little bit, but I also want to make sure we reintroduce the people that survived last time. So in addition to these three crew members, Captain Zoe Vitarello survived last time. She is with you. And your knowledge of her is that she is a competent commander, and that she has some piloting and astrogation experience, as well as a little bit of combat and tactics, but she really is in no way a scholar of any sort. You also have with you the engineer who also survived, Harriet Langley. And Harriet Langley, you didn't really get a lot of a chance to talk to either of these people, but Harriet Langley was missing for most of the last adventure. You were kind of looking for her. She's an engineer. She's in charge of keeping the jump drive in order, so maybe you want to have some words with her. She's got all the mechanical repair things and engineering things that you could need to keep the ship up in working order. But again, she's not a scholar. She's not like a master of robotics or anything like that. She's a paycheck engineer on a starship that's running to do experiments out on the rim and then back into inhabited space. So those two survived, and two crewmen died last time. The head of security for the WIN AMF corporation that you all are working for, he was killed. Can someone tell me how he was killed? I can recap if you don't remember.
I remember, Marine Log 001 reporting the death for Captain. We received a call from a bridge asking for backup, saying there was some type of monster or something or other in the cargo hold. because of tasks at hand, I wasn't able to get there as quick as possible. We had to lead the scientist and engineer to their superiors. I was unable to back up my superior. When it all was all said and done, it seems like there was some weird science mumbo jumbo, something or the other with the jump drive that warped time and made people look like monsters to some, which means that someone amongst the crew who may or may not still be living killed my superior and is walking amongst us back to normal as if they did nothing wrong. I remember what I did when I was a monster, which means they have to remember too. I will find this person.
That's beautiful. That's your official log, your official Marines log entry. And I guess that's the story that Jimmy Ducey is telling Captain Vitorello. What are the rest of you telling her when she comes to you and says that her XO, Jerry Sickler, was just found in his quarters with a hole in his head?
None of us were in our right minds. I mean, the effects of that hyperdrive warp, I don't know what you were experiencing at the time, but our brains were scrambled. We didn't know right from wrong. I can't remember my actions at all during the warp. That time is lost to me.
Okay, so Matt McGann is claiming total memory loss.
Anything I would say would be unreliable because my thought patterns were so scrambled by the space warp.
Now, this is not true. So what I would like is for Matt McGann to roll his intellect.
Ooh, that's not Matt McGann's strong suit, but he's going to go anyway. I got to go under a 36, correct?
That's right. That's what it says on your sheet. That's what you're going to roll under. Yeah. On two. Right. Yeah.
I got 34.
34. Okay. Captain Vitorello buys it. She's like, yeah, things are hazy for me too. I just noticed that the life support had been compromised. And when I went in, all of the machinery was sort of scrambled. And I don't know if it was like in my head or if it was actually happening, but it took me an hour to get us breathable oxygen.
Yeah, I mean, there's more under heaven and earth that are dreamt of under your philosophies, or the quote.
Sure, yeah. Doctor, what was your experience? And do you have any idea why Jerry's dead?
I am just going to be pushing it back towards Zoe. What happened to you? Like, everything looked different. What was your experience? Get Zoe. Zoe's just been through something. I want her to get talking about what happened to her.
Well, that's interesting. So she will reiterate that she noticed that there was no life support on the ship all of a sudden. She ran into life support, and life support looked like an abstract cubist painting. And she had to figure out how to get breathable oxygen to the ship. And her story seems to track because that's the last time you guys saw her as she was walking out of life support after you guys had stopped the jump drive and fixed everything. So it seems to make sense. But let's see if you successfully get her off of your track there, because I think that Dr. Lopez is trying to misdirect her, right? So that she doesn't ask too many questions. Give me a psychology roll. So you understand that psychology, you're going to roll, let's see, it gives you plus 15% to your intellect.
All right, so my intellect is 56 times 1.15. All right, 64. I have to roll under a 64, and I roll a 28.
Okay, very good. You guys, man, I guess Captain Vitorello is not the suspicious type, or she's not super canny, or maybe she's very shaken. But for now, the situation with the dead crewman, everybody went through some sort of mind-altering experience, so they're not looking too suspiciously at you guys. But what you have to decide now is how you're going to solve the problem of floating through space in an unknown section of space with a unreliable jump drive and no bridge. And what I can tell you about having no bridge is this. You have to pilot the ship from the engine room in the back of the ship. The engine and the thrusters. You have to kind of like pilot it manually from there. And you no longer have a sensor array the way you had before. You used to be able to get visuals of what was outside. No longer. The only sensors you have now are in the laser cutter, which is on the on the lowest deck in the front of the ship. But it works a little bit more like sonar. So it can't quite show you as many things as the bridge was able to. It can't do as many readouts and things. Like it can only basically tell you when there's a shape or an object or something moving toward you.
I'm going to ask a question that maybe Matt would know the answer to, but Langley might as well.
Yeah.
Is it possible to jury rig some sort of sonar that might let us know our position in space with what we have?
Yeah, it's very possible. So why don't you kind of want to know where you guys are?
Yeah, where are we near anything? A space station, something anything? Who knows?
You literally bump into Langley while she's like pushing like the dead body of Sickler covered in like a plastic like tarp.
Jerry.
Like
Poor
she's
Jerry.
pushing him toward the cryo chambers, and you guys are talking about this, and she's like, "Yeah, go get started. See if you can figure something out." Because basically, what you might be able to program it to do is just to send out signals in all directions, and whatever pings will come back, and eventually you might be able to map like large objects around, within light years around you.
She's pushing Jerry into the cryo chambers?
Yeah, well, the captain said that we have to keep the bodies, in the event of the official inquiry if we get back to civilization.
That's going to be fun. All right. Well, what, Dr. Lopez, what were you going to say?
Oh, I just want to embrace Helen and tell her I was so scared.
She's like, thank you, but it's Harriet.
Oh.
And then she pushes the corpse.
Sorry.
All right. Well, you heard Dr. Langley. We are to see if we can't make a thing that'll, bounce rays off near by large heavenly bodies and thus tell us our approximate location in the universe.
Okay, so you can do this with the kind of, primitive sensor array in the laser cutter.
Okay.
And in order to do that, Matt McGann, why don't you give it a shot? And I'm gonna let you do it with. I don't think engineering or. Actually, I'll allow you to do it with engineering, because you're basically just you're kind of fixing it to kind of do like send out signals in every direction. So intellect, and then add your engineering.
Okay, 36 plus 15 is 51, and I'm trying to get under that.
Yeah.
That did not happen.
Okay. I'm going to say that you
can make heads or tails out of this stuff.
You're working on that for 3 hours, and nothing's happened yet. What do the other characters want to do while this time is passing?
Could I give him an assist with mathematics?
You could. Yeah. Do you want to do that? Go ahead.
Sure.
Thanks, Doc.
I'm going to rule that those 3 hours have already gone by, but now the doctor assists you with mathematics.
All right. I made it.
Okay, great. So let's roll again, Matt McGann. Yeah, no, you haven't done it yet. She's assisted you successfully. So why don't you roll again? And because of Dr. Lopez's assist, I'll give you plus 10%.
Just on the nose. So like I hit it the exact number.
Okay. So
also, I would like to clarify what my assist was coming in, looking at what Matt was doing and saying, isn't that upside down? And then just leave it.
See, guys, that's why you're a professional writer.
Symbols mean.
So Matt McGann was looking at it upside down. So now the sensor array is just sending out and trying to get pings back from any really large objects, which should, in theory, be able to be mapped onto a star chart and let you guys know where the hell you are. But it's going to take it 9 hours to do that.
I'm going to get some imaging equipment any sort of imaging equipment from the science lab and see if like McGann can use it to maybe try to put together some sort of like primitive like readouts or
visual
monitors.
Yeah, okay, great. You guys can work on that. Jimmy, what do you think you're doing during this time? And it doesn't have to be something useful. It's whatever you want to do. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's definitely not useful. It's me going around talking to all the crewmates who are still alive and saying, "When was the last time you were in the cargo hold? Huh? When were you down there with my captain? Maybe when something freaky went down? Maybe doing something murderous? Do you remember murdering my captain? Did you murder my captain? Let me know if you murdered my captain. You have to tell me. I'm an official Marine asking, who murdered my captain?"
Great. So you're walking around and you're giving people the third degree, and I'm just going to see how many people are left because I told you about the major members of the crew, but there's probably a couple more people left.
A question from last mission: who did put he was the giant flesh wall, right? The captain, the security captain.
Yeah. So the captain is Zoe Vitarella, who's kind of the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
But then there's the head of security, and his name is Phillips.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he did turn. I believe that you guys encountered him somewhere, and all I know is that you shot him repeatedly in the chest.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. We don't remember exactly who pulled the trigger on that.
I believe it was Jimmy Deuce.
Jimmy himself. Right? That's what I was trying to remember.
So Jimmy, like you're talking to like the crew who is left. The Marines are all gone. You are now literally the only Marine. Okay, except for the captain who has a little bit of military training. Like nobody else's military training's around. So you're basically talking to Matt McGann's other Teamsters.
Yeah,
and kind of giving them the third degree, and you're intimidating them. I think that's mainly what you're doing. But what I'll let you do is I'll let you just roll an intellect roll to see if you can kind of browbeat them and keep them afraid of you.
Okay, let's see. So I got to roll under a 31.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I roll a complete 0.
You rolled a 0. You critical succeeded.
Yeah.
Or wait, yeah, because it's a 0 and a 0. That's a double. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this game, when you get doubles on your die,
he's trying to roll under, so he crit fail.
Yeah. So that's 100. Yeah, that's 100.
Yeah, that's the ultimate crit fail.
So the entire crew is very suspicious because Jimmy's acting really, really odd, and really, really strange. But perhaps Jimmy thinks that he's done a great job and kind of, got the suspicion off of him. Because now I think that there probably is some rest for all of you. And when you rest, you can take away some stress, which I think you guys really need to do. I was giving out too much stress last time, so I'm going to take off a little more. Normally, when you rest for 6 hours, you can take off 1 stress. I'm going to rule you guys probably all like rest for 12 hours at this point, if that's okay with you. And you can take off 2 stress, but then I'm also going to allow you to roll a 10-sided die and take off that much because I was giving out ridiculous amounts of stress. Clinton disagrees. What's up?
Not at all. So you're correct about that we should be rejiggering our stress. Critical Matt, who has a very apt name in the chat, has pointed out a thing that is true. A roll of 0-0 is always a critical hit in Mothership. I looked it up, and he is correct.
Thank you, Critical Matt. Thank you.
Critical Matt, really appreciate it. And that means that Jimmy, I take back what I said earlier. Jimmy Deuce, the crew is looking up to him now. They're like, this guy might be the one that can get us out of this. Like, thank God he's here and he's taking control of the situation. So you got
took control of the situation during the time of the incident.
Matt McGann kind of says that in the galley at lunch. So that's the situation. When we all go to rest. So everybody got their stress back, right? You got your stress levels down.
I rolled a 10.
Okay, then take your stress down by 10.
All right.
Oh, okay. So we roll 1d10. for the
Yeah,
stress?
yeah.
Okay.
Because I was giving out like, I thought it was Call of Cthulhu, and I was giving out like 5 stress when you missed a save, and it's supposed to be just like 1 or maybe 2 in a crazy circumstance.
What does it mean when I get a 00 in rolling my stress?
Well, I only wanted you to right now like take off 2 stress and then roll a d10 and take off that much.
Okay.
So you can't really critical hit or critical fail this. This is just kind of a healing.
I'm back to 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing then I take 10 off.
Okay, if that's what you rolled. And Callista, how's Callista doing now?
I rolled a 7 plus 2 is 9. I was at 14 before. Now I am down to 5. I mean, I've still got the divorce hanging over me and no real idea of if we get back to civilization, who am I there?
Yeah, it's true. There are no easy answers for Dr. Callista Lopez.
No.
Who sometimes is sort of in her own show in a way.
The answer is Dr. Callista Lopez.
The thing I love about Callista Lopez is every night before she goes to bed, she writes that column for a New York newspaper about her experiences. Okay, so the next day, while you guys are putting in that imaging equipment, and actually go ahead and give me an engineering roll, Matt McGann, to see if you're able to kind of get those imagers that the doctor brought from the lab that are now being attached to the array on the laser cutter to make it have a visual.
Yeah, so far real fuzzy there on the imagers. Probably about a 62% more fuzzy than I would have liked on the original statistics.
Well, there's no time to troubleshoot now because the captain asks you all to meet in the galley. So it's you, the captain, Harriet Langley, the head engineer, and the 7, basically privates, like Teamster, like cargo workers, all in the galley. What's that?
Crew meal. We're just gonna break bread and commune after a stressful experience.
Well, you can get some food if the captain's like, you can get some food if you want to, Dr. Lopez, but this is not just an opportunity to break bread. Because there's no bridge, this is literally the only place we have to meet now. And I really would prefer it if you didn't eat right now, because the news that I have to give you is that we are severely low on rations, considering the fact that we don't know where we're at or how far we are from the nearest inhabited station.
I got 5 MREs. I can share them if they need to go around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's going to really solve the problem, because according to my math, we have approximately 9 days of food for everybody.
Ooh. Officers will eat first, right?
I understand your sense of humor, Doctor, but I don't know if this is really the time for it. Mm-hmm. So I need you guys to tell me, how did your experiment go? Do you have any kind of bearing on where we're at?
I'm still waiting for the results.
Actually,
no, I'm not. They would have come in. It was 9 hours for 12.
Yeah.
So, well, I've got the stats right here. What do I can't Warden. What am I reading?
Well, I think that you can read off, like, you guys did get an idea of like where like some recognizable like celestial objects are, and how far away they are. And I think that if Callista Lopez gives me a mathematics roll, she can tell us how long it would take to get back to habitable space.
I rolled a 60 off of a 62 skill.
So you succeeded.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You do the math, and traveling with just your thrusters, you will reach an inhabited colony in a little over 9 years.
Okay, so that would be more.
Yeah. Yeah, the captain's like, yeah, that is more than 8 days. Yeah.
Does this mean that it's a desperate times, desperate measures situation where we risk turning on that jump drive and just try and keep it together, knowing that we all just us, just looking weird.
Guys, sorry, go ahead.
Well, the captain just says, I don't know if I want to risk that yet.
So do you want to risk it in 9 days?
Well, what if there was one crew member who locked everyone in their cabins, and then that crew member turned on the jump drive, risked whatever craziness might happen to that crew member, but everyone would be in their quarters. Perhaps we cryo chamber sleep everybody and go jump that way, and then it won't matter that we're looking like Picassos.
Can we cryo?
We could, we could cryo, and we could perhaps set the berths to wake us up if we come into contact with another ship or a planet. I mean, we could do that.
Pointed in Dr. Lopez's direction to that colony 9 years away. We jump to there, and we stay in the cryo chambers. Nobody shoots any security officers, and then we wake up when we get there.
Well, do you think
That was a weird example that you decided to use, Matt McGain.
Well, that was what happened the last time the thing went on. I was just sticking to the truth.
Harriet Langley says, I'm almost 90% sure that if we turn on the jump drive, whatever happened last time will happen again.
But if we're all in cryo sleep, what does it matter?
Well, what happens if the person on jump drive duty can't get us out of jump drive? Doctor, you got
we end up in the same situation we're in now.
Couldn't we just cryo for 9 years and get there under like conventional engines?
Yes. I mean, if we really conserved fuel and went very slowly, I think that would probably take longer than 9 years. But we could set them to wake us up if we come into contact with something.
So, but also by the time we were out of it, everyone we know would be dead.
Well, they wouldn't be dead. They'd just be 9 years older.
Yeah.
Well, probably more because we'd have to go slower.
Because energy for the cryo chambers.
And other things, other essential systems.
Well, so
This
far,
is looking like our only option.
Well, it's not. I still don't understand what's wrong with cryoing most of the crew, leaving one person in the high, in the bridge, one person, and have them. I mean, nobody has reported, that they were unable to act in any way.
What do I have in the science lab?
What do you have?
What do I have that's organic? Do I have any stuff that could be used to supplement the rations that we have to in some way make longer term viability for
in theory that you could maybe start growing some plants that would not be very delicious. They'd be kind of fungal cultures and things like that. And it would take a little while for them to come to fruition to be able to eat, but you could definitely start that. I think that there are two plans, as the warden and I will say, I think there are two interesting plans on offer right now. One is we go into cryo sleep and just kind of take the long route as best we can. And the other one is Matt McGann's plan to risk the jump drive and have everybody locked in their in their cryo berths and one person operating the jump drive. That one sounds a little bit riskier because, as someone pointed out, what if the person who's responsible for turning off the jump drive isn't able to do it? All
right, I would like to roll a psychology check against myself because my gut is risk averse on this stuff and tells me we should just cryo sleep. But I have come to really trust Matt McGann over the course of these extremely stressful previous couple of days. So I would just like to figure out whether whether I think it's right to trust Matt McGann. Can I do that?
Can I modify my plan to make it sound even better?
Yes.
Okay, so the person left awake, whoever that may be, can they set a timer on the jump drive so that it will automatically shut off when we get to the planet? Then all that person would have to do is hit the jump drive while they're still conscious. Then whatever happens after that, the jump drive will shut off automatically because it's been set to.
Harriet Langley goes, we could have done that when we had a bridge.
So there's no way to.
It has to be operated It has to be operated manually now.
All right. Okay.
How'd you do on your psychology roll?
I made it.
Okay, so I think that Matt McGann's extremely trustworthy, and I think that if you would like to make your character believe in his plan, then you may do so now.
All right. Yeah, I think I really trust crewman McGann. I think. Does Helen have a better plan? Does Harriet have a better plan?
She says, I don't have a better plan, but I don't think that we should use this jump drive. That's my 2 cents.
Well, then have fun looking at your 25-year-old older husband with the new president you didn't vote for when we get back home.
Harriet's gay.
I want to hear from Jimmy. Do you say what does he have an idea?
I just feel like, there's too many risks. It took 2 of us just to turn it off. So just one person being left turning it off just doesn't seem right. Nah, I do have a lot of things in the pot, a lot of people I'm talking to, lots of ladies that, we've been texting back and forth. And it would hurt me that now I would have to leave those relationships because they would be much older than me by the time I leave this jump drive.
Well, you don't like MILFs, Jimmy?
I don't know yet.
I would like to offer that by this point in time, dating apps are like holodeck style simulations where you go on a date and get to fuck somebody before you ever actually meet them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Do we have a robot of any kind that could manipulate the jump drive, but it wouldn't be susceptible to, head fuckishness?
That's interesting. Let's see here. No, you don't. And I don't know that you have like the robotics to program it anyway. I mean, the science lab might have something like that. You want to like get a robot that'll shut down the jump drive.
Well, yeah, then they wouldn't go mental.
Okay, that's a cool plan, says the captain, but I think right now it's time to take it to a vote. So all in favor of going into cryo sleep and letting the ship move on thruster power, say aye. Harriet Langley and 7 of the crew members, these are the Teamster people, I just rolled a die, say that they want to do that. And then I know that Matt McGann, Dr. Lopez, and I know that Jimmy, were you voting to just go into cryo sleep and go slow?
No, he didn't want that, right?
I mean, both are very risky. One's risky for my love life. The other's risky for my life.
What's your vote, man?
I think sorry, y'all. I'm gonna have to do the cryo sleep.
Okay, so that's in total. That's 9 votes for the cryo sleep. Matt McGann, Dr. Lopez, and the captain actually are open to trying the other thing, but it looks like you guys have been outvoted.
See you in 20 years, guys.
She says, Captain says, not necessarily. Like I said, I'll set the sensors. If we come in contact with anything, it'll wake a couple of us up. Do you want to be awakened if that happens?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
She says, okay, this is my team and Langley. If we come in contact with anything, we'll wake up.
Yeah. I'm contractually obligated to be woken up.
So, you go through the cryo sleep process, which is a terrible process, by the way, you guys. It's like a lot of like catheters and, shaving off any body hair you have. You're not allowed. You have to drink something that tastes like metal, and get that in ballast in your stomach. And then, the pod shuts on you. And you can feel through the IV in your arm the liquid entering your body that slowly shuts down your heart. And the really fucked up thing about cryosleep is that in order to live indefinitely, you do sort of have to flatline and die for a little while. And so all of you go into cryosleep, and everything goes black until beep, 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 seemingly instantaneously after you close your eyes. Suddenly, there is a flashing light above you. You can see it through the kind of frosty glass of your cryo berth, and poof, the pneumatics on your doors of your cryo berths pop open, and you can see that Captain Vitorello is pulling off the suction cups on her head and like pulling on like her jumpsuit over her underwear, and she's like, "We found something. Come on."
I would like to put on my my jumpsuit and determine whether I have lost weight.
You do not lose
My
weight.
hazard suit.
You do not lose weight in cryosleep. You do not experience any kind of change. You are in suspended animation. But what I will allow you to do is, as you guys are getting out of your pods, there is a big digital display that tells you the month, date, and year. Guess how long has passed?
Guessing 5 years.
9 months.
No, 2 years. 2 years have passed. I thought that would be. You guys aren't blown away by that at all, so I'm not going to make you make any kind of fear roll or sanity roll. 2 years of your life have been spent in suspended animation in these pods, and Captain Vitorello is running down to. She's like, "I'm going down to the laser cutter. There's something on the sensor array."
Oh, wow.
Follow.
Yeah, I'll follow as well.
Okay.
Got my exosuit on. Got my weapon strapped.
Harriet Langley's like, "Okay, I'm coming." You guys get down to the laser cutter, and you're looking at the the monitors that Matt McGann set up 2 years ago, and it's just like a lot of like fuzzy snow. But in the middle of that fuzzy snow, there is a shape. It's a slightly darker patch of fuzzy snow than the rest of the fuzzy snow, and it sort of is like a big kind of broad front, and then it tapers out a little bit.
Do we have any comm equipment?
I'm saying comm equipment?
Yeah.
You do. The computer room, which is in the back of the ship on the opposite end for the laser cutter, has an auxiliary radio and communication system.
All right. I'm going to ask Jimmy to come with me and go back to the computer.
Let's do that.
Matt McGann, are you staying here with the captain?
Yeah, and also, Warden, do I recognize that basic outline as any common type of spaceship that I would know?
Give me a piloting roll.
No, I don't think so. No, I missed it.
The visuals are bad. It's too fuzzy. Captain Vitorello pops a couple things into the keyboard, though, and she says, "It's huge. Like Dreadnought class at least."
Goodness gracious.
And then she says, "It's sort of
what political bodies or planets do we know that would be capable of making a ship that large?"
I mean, your own civilization of humans creates ships this large, but these are rare. This is like the only ship of this size that humans make is a colony ship, which is intended to colonize a planet.
Okay.
She says it's maintaining a constant distance from our ship. We go forward, and it sort of backs up. Meanwhile, in the computer room, are we going to set up some comms here?
Yeah, I would like to try to communicate with them, or like open hailing frequencies, whatever the equivalent is. But
Yeah.
I'm not really experienced with that kind of stuff.
That's okay. It's easy enough to do here. The auxiliary communications equipment is sort of clearly labeled, and you notice that it's a pretty push button unless you're trying to do something complex. But like the switchboard is lit up right now, so something is hailing you.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to use my within ship comm and say, "Captain, they're trying to communicate with us." Leave that open and then answer the call, essentially.
Okay, so when you turn on the call, you suddenly hear like like just like banging sounds that come in like rapid, complex, like succession, like.
Am I recognizing this as any type of Morse code?
Yeah, use your military training if you don't mind.
Can I linguistics it?
You can linguistics it if you'd like.
All right, so what would I mix military training with?
I think with your intellect for this role.
Failed my linguistics.
Okay.
Failed my role on intellect military training.
Okay. You guys have never heard anything like this. I mean, it sounds like this weird, but you're listening closely, so I can tell you that after it for a second, it starts over.
Well, then I'll take note and write it down as if it was Morse code, even though I don't recognize it.
Okay, great. You do that. Dr. Lopez, what do you want to do?
I would like to try to send tones back, just sort of like one tone, then two tones, then three tones, to try to establish some sort of basis for communication.
Great.
Could I make another linguistics roll from my attempt at sort of like establishing a pattern with them?
I'll allow that. But you also need to give me a computer's roll to kind of program it into the communications array. And do you have that skill?
I do not have computers.
Okay, then I'll allow you to do it with a intellect minus 10%.
Oh. Okay. I did not make it.
Okay.
Would have made it without the minus 10%. Did not make it.
Really? Okay. I think that you're in linguistics wise, what were you trying to say or do? Like what you were trying to repeat it back or?
No, I was just trying to go 1, 2, 3. Like I was just trying to provide a very sort of basic structure for like explaining that we are intelligent beings and need to figure out a basis for mutual communication.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. You spend, if it's okay, do you mind spending a little while trying to work with this?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to say that 4 hours goes by where you're kind of trying to teach yourself how to be a comms officer, basically. Yes. And during that time, like toward the end of that time, suddenly the stops completely. And the comms go quiet. However, you guys hear Vitorello sends she gets on like the intercom and intership communications and is like, yeah, this thing's doing something weird over here now.
What do you mean weird over here?
Something weird?
Yeah, so the laser cutter sensor array is detecting energy emissions from the thing of different types of ultraviolet light. Come check it out.
Okay, would I know why a ship might do that?
Why a ship might use different types of ultraviolet light? Generally, it would be like some kind of sensor array might send out different types of ultraviolet light.
So they would be trying to sense us.
I mean, that's a theory.
Okay.
Do you want to go look and see what she's looking at?
Sure, yeah.
The second you go back into the laser cutter, you look at your screens again, the very primitive visual array you've set up, and the shape of the thing is now wide and flat. You can see there's a darker shape, but it is wide and flat.
How many windows on our ship? Like actual portals where we can just look outside?
Could you spacewalk and get a visual on it?
This thing is like actually like a light year away. You know what I mean? Like not a light year, but it's like so many thousand miles that it's like
okay.
No.
That's
Okay.
kind of how it ship to ship kind of works. Like you're not really kind of standing right there next to each other.
Okay.
But you could spacewalk with some sort of like maybe telescopic equipment and like try that way.
Do we have such equipment?
Okay, so you'd have to go look in the science lab and see if you could put something together, or maybe you could pull it out of the machinery in the laser cutter.
Well, I don't want to leave the ship without eyes. So unless we can go to the science lab and find something additional, I don't want to take the only thing that works apart.
I'm gonna see what I have optics wise, crystal wise, that kind of thing.
Okay, give me go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh no, I just want to send an SOS Morse code to that ship.
Okay, great. Give me an intellect roll at negative 10%, unless you don't have computer either. I don't believe.
No.
Okay.
Oh, I make it.
You make an SOS. Okay, so Jimmy like figures out how to do SOS, and are you sending out sort of like the the interstellar marine signal for help?
Yes.
Okay. Jimmy. Okay. Jimmy, you hit help, you know what I mean? And the signal goes out. And the second that happens, Matt McGann, you see the thing in the fuzzy screen like start to change its shape again. It's like becoming like tall and thin and oblong. And then all of a sudden, like all the readings that Captain Vitarello's looking at about like energy fluctuations, you know what I mean? Suddenly all of the bars go boom, 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 boom up to the top.
Is that kind of transformation something that a human-built colony ship would be capable of?
It is not even a little bit ever going to be possible to do something like that.
This is just the SDF-1 pulling out the main gun. Like, this is like something bad.
Right. And now I want to tell you that what you guys kind of hear is what I would describe as rain on the outside of the ship. Like a million little droplets hitting the ship is the kind of the audio that you're getting. And it must be with
that ship.
No, your ship. Yeah, and it must be with some large amount of force, because you do have like, a hull that's probably 6 feet thick or something like that. Captain Vitarello looks at Mavigan and is like, this thing is extraterrestrial.
So these pellets that are hitting the ship, hail, whatever, would that be some sort of weapon? Or do you feel like that's an asteroid? Like, would I know anything about a phenomenon like this from my space travel? Space technician.
Sure. You know that sometimes spaceships enter areas of spatial debris, and that a lot of things will hit the ship, or an asteroid belt is similar, and a lot of things will hit the ship, and often it can be extremely deadly because the objects are traveling with such velocity that even a piece of trash can put a hole in your hull if it hits it the right way. That is not what's happening here. And it's just this extremely loud, and there is a little bit of vibration now. Like something is like bathing your ship in some sort of particulate or something like that.
Our sensors are sonar. This thing that we are picking up isn't necessarily a physical shape. It could be a sound. Is that correct?
It's possible that it couldn't be a sound. It would have to be a physical object, to be honest.
Okay.
To bounce back the signals that you're sending out.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys can react to this however you want. Captain Vitarello says that she's going to try to go back to the computer and kind of get a systems check on everything to see what's happening.
Good.
Okay, great. She's running back there. You can join her, or you can give me something else you'd like to do.
I'm going to go with the captain.
Okay, great. So the captain starts doing a systems check, and Jimmy, you're in there too. And she's like, "Excuse me," and she kind of bumps you out of the way, and she like starts like putting things into the computer, and then a sort of a map, of the ship kind of comes up, and the thing is, like, the map at this point like has like a red over the bridge. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But then you see that like something is changing at that part of the bridge, and she's like, "Wait, some of the power conduits to the bridge are coming back on."
What?
She says some of the power conduits to the bridge are coming back on.
Yeah, I want to try and travel up to the bridge myself and see what's going on.
Okay, great. You start heading up there. Would anybody like to do something else or join him?
I would like to run some kind of check on the power systems of the ship to see where we are and what the difference has been between where we're at before and where we are now.
Okay, you want to look at the power systems of the ship.
Well, if you just said that our power kicked up a notch, I'd like to know how much.
Well, what I actually said was that she was looking at like energy coming from that other object, and suddenly the amount of energy coming from the other object went boom like that.
Okay.
Now she's saying that when she does sort of a checkup on the ship, that suddenly the bridge is sort of coming back online, which doesn't make a lot of sense because the bridge was completely ripped off.
Yeah, there's nothing there to come online.
Right, that flew off like 2 years ago. Okay. When you get up to the bridge, Jimmy Duce, and anybody else who'd like to join him, the blast doors that closed, when the bridge got ripped off, are still shut, but you now see like golden light coming like just barely through the crack in the blast doors.
I want to shut the door that connects to the other side because I have to see this for myself. I'm blown away, and I want to open the blast door.
Okay, Jimmy.
That is not a advisable move, Marine. You say we don't know what's on the other side of that. The chances are it's nothing, and then
I got to see this, Matt. I got to see this with my own eyes.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to assume that Matt's contacting you via like inter-radio.
Yeah. And I'm also telling the captain to stop him from doing that.
Can I hear this? I'm still in the science lab.
I'm going to say that you can hear all of this. Everybody's communicating via,
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, you can hear it. Okay, so here we go. All right. Okay, so the bridge, the blast doors open. It takes you a little while to override the manual to get them to do that. And when they do, you are now looking at a new bridge. The bridge has rebuilt itself almost like instantaneously. Like basically since you sent it's been like a half hour since you sent the SOS signal, and there's a million little golden lights sort of flying around the bridge. The bridge looks very different. In particular, there is some sort of like, there's a completely different seating scheme. The screens are different. Everything is like a way more like low to the ground. Everything looks like it would be uncomfortable to sit in. There are columns where there were not columns before. There's a large sort of weird station in the center of the room that looks like a telescope. And on either side of the doors where you've opened the doors are two like metal like pods resting on like tripod legs.
Hey, y'all not going to believe this.
Oh, and I need you to make a sanity save.
Yeah, of course. I failed that. 78.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Take a point of stress.
Y'all not gonna believe this, but we got a bridge, but it's a new bridge. It's a bridge we have not seen before, it's a yeah. It's I'm gonna step in and make sure it's safe. That's my job as security officer.
The second are you stepping in?
Yeah.
Okay. The second that you step in to the bridge, suddenly those metal pods on like the tripod legs unfold, and like a small probe pops out of the top of each of them, and a light comes out of the probe and aims towards you, and then this signal comes out of them.
I'd like to make another attempt to see if I can understand the Morse code.
Okay, I think that you can roll your intellect, and you're getting like some body language from these things. They're kind of like moving and swaying now.
Okay.
So you can kind of roll your intellect at normal.
Okay. I'm trying to understand y'all. Just and I failed again. I'm sorry, I can't. Can you speak English? I'm trying to understand y'all. I want to communicate with you.
When you say English, like you see the lights on their heads like go a bunch of different colors, and then a voice out of both of them simultaneously says, "Stop. Look into the light."
We can't hear any of this, right? This is all just happening to Jimmy.
You can hear it over the intercom if he kept his like kind of like the intercom on, but it's very far away. So it's kind of only happening to Jimmy. You're not sure what's going on up there. But maybe that makes you do something right now, or you can just see how it plays out.
I'm definitely going to take another roll for my sanity when these things start speaking in English.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for not making me demand it.
And I failed that one.
Okay, take another point of stress and tell me what you're going to do. They now say, "Stop. Look into the light. Comply."
And don't do whatever anyone's telling you to do. That sounds like a real bad idea.
I'm gonna.
Yo, it's talking. It's telling me to look into the light and to comply.
Who have you ever liked who did something like that?
No one. But I don't know what to do. I don't want to anger it.
The opposite of that.
Okay.
Get out of there.
All right. I'm gonna take a few seconds, Mr. Robot Proby Man. I'm gonna think on that, and I'm gonna come back and comply if it works out with the rest of the crew. And I just start backing out.
When you back out, the weird head with the lights goes back down into the body. They fold back up and turn back into like pods, like sitting on three legs.
All right, they seem very chill with that. So I think we do have time to discuss how we're going to go about this comply situation. And so I want to go down and explain everything that just happened to the crew.
Okay, very good. The crew are all down.
Let's meet up in the computer room.
Okay, great. That sounds good.
We got a meeting in the computer room.
All right, you're in the computer room. And before Jimmy Duce arrives, Captain Vitarello walks in, Harriet Langley, and then Jimmy walks in.
Warden, is there anything in the computer room where we could use the ship's instruments to check about what on this bridge and see, like, do we have a computer system linked to this thing? Is there any way to manipulate or learn anything about the new thing on the ship from the stuff on the old ship?
Also, I want to +1 before you get into that explanation to add to that. Also, are there any new kind of any features that we now have again now that we have a bridge, like anything that we've lost now that we can do?
In theory, you should have the captain says in theory we should have, if we have a bridge, and I don't know how this one works, or even if we can believe what you saw with your own eyes, Jimmy.
Go up there.
She goes, but it says that we have a bridge here in the schematics when I do a systems check. She's like, in theory, we should have much improved sensors and astrogation.
Can we access the sensors from the bridge into the computer room, or does it only work on the bridge?
You can access. You can do that. You can ask them to, you can ask the bridge to send you an image of their visual sensors.
Yeah, let's get a look at that ship.
Okay, so when you get a look at that, so you do that, right? You start putting things in. She knows how to do that, and suddenly the monitors in the computer room flop on, and they come on, and you're looking at a perfect metal sphere now floating in space.
I would like to send through the comm equipment the message, "We speak English."
Okay, you say "We speak English" into the comm equipment.
I also speak Portuguese, but I mean, let's go with English.
You get you have a hail coming back.
Okay, let's listen to it.
Repairs completed, and now the sphere starts to move off away from the ship.
Oh,
and now Sohn Phillips walks into the computer room.
Oh,
Everybody needs to make a sanity roll because
Yeah.
this guy died.
I failed.
And I failed with a 66. I critical failed.
Oh, you critical failed a sanity roll. John,
Yeah.
you have to make a panic roll.
And what is that?
We're going to roll. Hey, Clint, do you have that panic table ready?
By the way, I can re-roll this result once a session. So if I don't like this, as a teacher, I get to re-roll it.
Yeah, you just roll. I think it's you just roll 2d10, and Clint will tell us what you got on the panic table when a dead man walked into the room. I want you to know that the dead man is still in his torn uniform with a hole in him, but he doesn't look like a zombie. He looks like himself, and he's like, "I'm sorry, what's going on?"
I got a 06.
How'd we do there, Clint? Your stress wasn't very high, John, so you're probably pretty much okay.
Yeah, last I looked at the table, the lower the better.
6 is actually not bad at all. He gets a minor adrenaline rush. He gets an advantage on all his rolls for the next 1d10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm keeping that result.
There you go. Okay. So he walks in and he's like, I don't know what's happening. I woke up in a cryo birth, but I wasn't in cryo sleep. I don't know why. So I heard you all on the intercom and I came down here.
What is Sohn's official title?
Head of security chief.
I would just call him I call him chief. Chief. I'm so glad you're alive. I've been hunting down the person. I'm gonna fill you in. You can listen to the tapes, but I've been hunting down the person who, unfortunately, made an attempt on your life. But we were all out of our minds. We all, Matt McGann doesn't remember. Callista Lopez wants to know how you're feeling. But we look.
Wait, so you thought I was
you? Chief, you were.
What's the last thing you remember, Chief?
I, into the comm before they get too far away, just want to say, where did you come from? What species are you?
There is no answer. You don't get a hail back.
Okay.
Wait, so
you can still see the object moving away.
Oh, so they did that, and they're dipping. They're they're leaving us.
It looks like they're leaving.
You're away, or is this some probe they sent to repair a ship?
Well, I'll answer in character to Matt. They did leave their mark. There's in the bridge there are 2 probe-like instances that are begging us to comply. So they're gone, but technically.
What about
here?
Ship? Is that still the same distance away?
The big ship is now, according to your visual sensors, which you've brought down from the bridge, it is now getting distance on you.
Okay,
It's now moving away from you.
I would like to strongly, like, living corpse or no, I'm going to strongly encourage Captain Vitorello to follow this ship. We have made first contact with an alien species.
We have 8 days worth of food if we stay awake and pursue this.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
I can't doom the entire crew and everyone in cryo sleep. You know,
Captain Vitorello, it's possible that the hyperdrive would work now with this new bridge, or there could be something with our bridge now where we could make it functional again and then use that to get back to civilization. Then you hear, and you look over, and the security chief is just like, Dr. Lopez, do you have anything in your bag that might calm down?
I'm gonna med scan Soane.
Okay.
I have a med scanner.
Great. Yeah. Do you have with a med scanner? I think that, and you have first aid.
I don't have first aid, but I have biology and genetics.
Oh, great. Give me a biology roll.
And I make it.
So this is really disturbing.
I critically make it.
Oh, you critically make it. Okay. You do a med scan on him, and you're not sure if you want to tell everybody else because the thing that's coming through on your scanner is really disturbing. Soane Phillips has a hole all the way through him in the center of his torso. Nobody can see it because it's covered by his like ragged jumpsuit and everything, but it is like a perfect hole that goes all the way through him, and he's just walking around fine.
Hey,
and
yes.
one other thing, you critted, right?
Yes.
There's foreign matter moving around inside of him, microscopic foreign matter moving around inside of him.
Okay, I'm gonna try to tastefully. Also, do I need to take a sanity roll?
I think that you do.
But I make it.
Great.
Right.
Add no stress. Add no stress.
I'm gonna be like, so could you come with me to the science lab just really quickly? I wanna take a
no big deal.
I'm gonna psychologize. I'm gonna try to calm him down with some psychology. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. 44. Crit it again.
You successfully calm him down with some psychology.
All right.
And he's like, and he goes with you to the science lab. Remember, you also have a med bay. Just putting that out there in case anybody wants to do something that's more medical in theory. You can
possible that our doctor came back to life too.
That's true.
You have a med bay. You do not have a doctor. You have Dr. Lopez.
Okay, we don't have an actual.
Right.
You don't have a Dr. Beverly Crusher.
The science lab is my shit. I understand it. And I would remind you, Warden, that the work that I've been doing is trying products from our parent corporation on crew members and seeing how they work in deep space. So my science lab is going to have a lot of diagnostic equipment to see how people's bodies are working.
That makes total sense. Are you telling me that you'd like to do a full checkup on Mr. Phillips?
I'm going to make Mr. Phillips lay down and close his eyes. I'm going to be using some bright lights. I may put some goggles on him so he doesn't see himself. But yeah, I want to run a bunch of diagnostics and also just like look at the hole and maybe try to put my finger into the hole.
Okay. So you get a bunch of bright lights and diagnostics, and when you get him kind of sedated and on the table, and you open up his jumpsuit, there is just a big chunk of his torso missing, and the inside is perfectly smooth and brown, and it feels like hard, like when you take like a little speculum in there and you tap it, tick 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 tick. It doesn't create any, there's no give. It doesn't even feel organic anymore. Also, you feel like there is something going on with his blood, because I'm assuming you're giving him a full workup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's going to take you like 3 hours to do that. And when you look at his blood under a microscope, you see thousands of tiny foreign bodies moving through the blood. And that is where we are going to take a 5-minute break to use our potties and to see if we can find John Roy out there in space.
Yeah.
Disappeared. And when we come back, we'll be ready to keep playing.
Ooh, break time.
Sorry, I'm back.
Hey, John, we're taking 5 because we lost you. We'll be right
sorry,
back.
I'm back. I just hit the wrong button real quick. I'm back.
Well, while you're here, maybe we can take some questions from the stream.
Okay. Yeah, I would be happy to.
Hey, anybody from the stream? Anything you want to share? They think the light looks cool in my glasses. Oh, that's Ify. Never mind.
Oh.
The Expanse books. They're great.
Oh, yeah, those are my favorites. I love The Expanse. That's why I like this game so much. I've read every one of those things.
I am very good friends with the actor who plays Amos on the show, and I got to.
Are you really?
The set. Yeah, I got to visit the set in Toronto a few weeks ago. And it was
He does
awesome.
a great job. He crushes that show.
Yeah, he's killer. Oh. Hey, where's Matt McGann from?
Matt McGann is from Chicago. That's where that accent comes from. That is a Chicago special.
Well, even without any questions, I'm glad people show up to watch us play these games. They're a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
It's
being
good
here,
to have
everybody.
you guys live. Can we cut this out of the or this is going to be part of the recorded one forever? I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, John, we don't edit.
Yeah.
John,
hey, Jared,
you're back.
I'm back. I hit the wrong. I was looking at the live comments and I must have just hit the wrong button. I got back on immediately.
You critted your communications.
Yeah.
Work. Yeah. Do we have any questions while we're waiting for our other 2 players to return, or anything people want to chat about?
We were explaining that we don't edit anything because we don't work that hard.
Well, I guess it's a fast forward button anyway. So once they,
Yeah.
they can,
Maybe we will edit this.
Yeah, maybe.
But probably not. But thank you for tuning in anyway, but warts and all here.
Well, let's see. Is everything rolled on a D6?
it's actually
or
no,
D10,
okay,
excuse me.
So yeah,
2D10s.
everything is rolled using D10s. It's a percentile roll. You got to check out this game. If names don't matter. If you're not aware of Mothership, it's an indie game, but like the book, you got to get the book really, because the physical book is laid out so perfectly, and it helps you in this run it so easily. And then on top of that, like it's just a really cool little rule system that perfectly simulates these kinds of stories. So
The layout's great, but the art is also terrific, and the art is actually by the guy who wrote the game. So it's really impressive.
yeah, it's a real kind of a DIY kind of.
You could run the whole Expanse campaign through this system. It would be perfect. You could run the whole show.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think there is also an Expanse role-playing game now, though. Did you know
There
that?
is, although I haven't played it.
I have not either. But yes, this would definitely work to run the Expanse, Aliens, Event Horizon,
Lost in Space from Netflix, Another World from Netflix, like any of those things where the ship has to actually like work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still waiting on Ify, but while we are, I will say if you like what we're doing here, we play every Wednesday and Sunday.
Yes.
On Wednesdays right now, we are playing Vampire the Masquerade. Our players are Thomas Middleditch, Ashley Birch, and Ross Bryant. And then the following Sunday, 1 week from today, we're going to be starting playing a little Call of Cthulhu Dark Ages.
Mm-hmm. That's Dark Ages, like the real Dark Ages. So,
Oh, really?
yes, it'll take place in like Anglo-Saxon England. And I've been reading a book called in search of the Dark Ages to get ready. It's pretty fascinating era.
Everyone manages to survive their encounter with Cthulhu and then just dies of tainted water.
Exactly, Guy.
Well, their sanity rolls are probably better because these are the devils they're taught about every day. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not conflicting with any modernism like it does for the real Cthulhu characters.
Well, while I'm developing my scenario for it, I wonder what people think, and the players can weigh in here too. Should I put classic H.P. Lovecraft creatures into it? Do people want to see Cthulhu or deep ones in a early medieval setting, or should it be more based on actual medieval folklore? Oh, Clancy says yes. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see if it's Cthulhu, it's Cthulhu. Otherwise, it's just D&D.
Well, I have two words for you. Hieronymus Bosch.
Yes, see, that's
hell yeah.
That would be the other direction to go.
All the Bosch paintings look like bird people. I think the Cthulhu stuff better.
There's a way you can kind of do both.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I hit the wrong button. I didn't mean to pull us all out of it for 5 minutes.
That's okay. You just reminded me that we need to take a break sometimes. That's all. Yeah, I mean, I like mind-bendy games. If you watch the first episode of Mothership, that was super mind-bendy. And this
Guy solved that like Geordie LaForge. It's like he was on that shit.
You're too sweet, Roy.
that was some serious David Tennant putting it all together in Act 2.
Yeah. Oh, you came back while we were getting up to leave? That's great.
Yeah, I was on like this.
You thought I was like, well, John's gone. I guess the game is over.
So did anything happen while I was gone for 10 seconds?
Yes. Dr. Callista Lopez did a little bit of a check on our friend, on our...
Do you know why he can walk around?
No. He has a hole in his stomach and some sort of weird substance, and there are some sort of, for lack of a better term, midichlorians flowing around in his blood.
There's no better term.
Well, they fixed us, right? So there's that. But there's also 2 goons in the front of the bridge telling people to comply. So it's like a little bit of good, a little bit of bad. I don't know. I don't know what their intentions are.
This feels like role playing. I'm going to go.
My first question is, do I still have my eczema?
I'm trying to remember. So you have eczema on your skin, right? Still have it.
I just decided this now.
Your character still has eczema. Yes.
Okay.
But that's an interesting question. Give me one more biology roll as Dr. Callista Lopez on Stone Phillips's body here.
I do not make it.
Okay. I can't tell you anymore. All you know is that there are midichlorians, for lack of a better term, and that he is walking around even though he's missing part of his abdomen.
I got some old injuries from strain and the jab. Did any of that get fixed up there?
Ify, welcome back. The game sort of just started again without me trying to make it start, but you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything crucial. All we know is that your security chief, has a hole in his chest. He's got some kind of little midichlorians floating around in his bloodstream, and everybody wants to figure out what they'd like to do about it.
Just for a conclusion for my little sort of like investigation of Sohn, is I'm going to very quietly just take my tranquilizing, put it to his shoulder, and give him a nice big dose of tranquilizers to try to put him under while we figure out what's going on.
Okay. You do that, and as far as you can tell, he's sedated. Okay. So, what would other people like to do? patrol the ship, go check out that bridge again, or do you want to have a discussion with the captain or
I'd like to discuss something with the captain.
Harriet Langley, the engineer?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit with my chief.
Langley is who I want to talk to.
You want to talk to Langley, and you want to sit with your chief. Okay, so let's do it in this order. First, I'll have Matt McGann talk to Harriet Langley, and she's like, she comes out of the engine room like with like kind of a frightened look on her face when you bump into her, Matt McGann.
I have 2 questions. Is this a good time to ask them?
Sure, I guess.
Okay. Number one, when we had problems with the hyperdrive, if we ran a diagnostic now, is there a way we could see whether that hyperdrive had been fixed, perhaps by these aliens?
I think it's probably, well, something's happened, because when I was in there, I saw like a gold light envelop the engines and the jump drive.
Is that gold light still there?
No, it's gone.
So it like enveloped them and then was gone. Can we run a diagnostic on the jump drive?
Sure. I'll run it from the computer. And she goes into the computer room.
I go with her.
Okay. She starts running a diagnostic. Now, the jump drive said it was fine before when it.
Oh, that's okay. So that wouldn't do anything.
But she says that, like, yes, it says that the jump drive is repaired. Jimmy, you walk into the science lab where you know that your chief had been taken for a checkup, and your chief is sitting up, fully awake, with a hole in his chest. Make a sanity roll.
I pass it. With
Great.
line color.
No more stress right now. You were prepared for weird shit to happen. And he says, Jimmy, hello.
Hey, how's it going, Chief? Just wanted to come down here and see how you're doing.
I feel fantastic. What's been happening while I've been asleep?
Well, first thing I think you need to know is 2 years have passed, so Susie's 18 now, so she's probably left for college and all that. Second thing you need to know is things was crazy. Chief, what's the last thing you remember?
I was attacked by a strange creature on the 3rd floor corridor.
Okay, cool. I know where to start there. Well, turns out they weren't strange creatures. They got some experimental hyperdrive in this ship. And when they used it, it changed reality and how we view things. And everyone looked like monsters. And it was at that point Matt McGann tried to shoot you when he thought that you were one of them creatures. I was able to stop him, but you did take a few blows, and it did ultimately take your life.
So, I want you. You know what? You don't even need to roll to see this. Suddenly, you hear the chief go, "You're lying to me." And you look up at the chief, and he looks different. He looks like there's a little less muscle mass on him than when you knew him, and he's just got like his head is slightly elongated. It's just a little bigger. His eyes are a little larger, and he's kind of like studying you carefully, and he's like, "You're lying."
So, upon that,
He also now starts to tell you he wants to hear everything about what happened recently, what brought him back to life. And if you want to not tell him, you need to resist his roll with a psychology roll.
Okay. And so essentially, if I want to counter with something that has nothing to do with this, I need to resist a psychology roll.
Yeah, you're doing opposed
Okay.
rolls, and we'll see who won the most.
Okay. Let's see. Oof. I rolled a 62.
Okay, so he succeeded by about 13. So he wins that opposed roll, and he gets you to spill all the beans about this alien ship and how it seems to have built a bridge with some odd droids on it, and it also apparently brought him back to life. And then you also tell him about the death of Jerry Sickler, at which point he says, do you think that Jerry might be revived as well?
I think so. But, and with this, I look him dead into those new big eyes. And like there's a chill went down my spine. There's a resolve, and almost like a light bulb went off inside of Jimmy's dumb head and go, but you wouldn't call it revived, would you, huh? Because I don't feel like I'm talking to the chief.
Oh, I assure you, it's me.
All right. And then I asked
He
for...
says, hey, Susie, I can't believe I missed her graduation. It's me. I'm hurting inside, Jimmy. But right now I'm going to go up and look at that bridge. And now he starts moving out of the science lab toward the elevators.
So I would like to see if I felt like he was telling the truth or if he was trying to play me.
I know that you don't have psychology, so just give me an intellect roll, but at disadvantage, please.
Okay.
And disadvantage means you roll it twice, take the worst of the two.
So that was good. That was worse. So I failed.
Okay. You don't know if he's just suddenly really good at lying or if he, but it seemed extremely sincere to you. And he is headed completely naked, by the way, except for like some space underwear, toward the elevators.
I would like. Is there a way to communicate? I guess just in person, right? I'd like to go meet with Dr. Lopez and Matt McGann. Great.
Lopez and McGann have probably kind of met back up with Vitarello in the computer room where everybody was kind of like doing diagnostics and things. So you guys can all discuss. Go ahead.
Y'all, look, it seems like that might be sown, but his body is literally transforming. His eyes got bigger. His head started elongating. Yeah, you missed all this, Lopez. You might want this for your science or whatever. But my biggest fear right now is he's going up to the bridge, and like I said, there's those submit bots, and I don't know what's going to happen if someone chooses to submit to those bots
or chooses not to.
I mean, he should have been asleep for a couple of days.
Yeah, he's not. He's very much awake.
Something's going on here. I feel like the answers are fundamentally on that bridge. I think knowing where Jerry is not. Jerry wasn't great when he was a human.
Vitarello's like, we think Jerry's walking around again too.
Like, yeah. I mean, if we are to guess that
she put a bunch of stuff into the computer.
Captain, can you hail Jerry and tell him to show up? You're the captain. Give him an order.
You think he'll follow it?
Who knows? Get on the intercom. Tell him to show up. We can't have him running around.
All right. Okay. All right. Let me run my ship the way I want to run it. And then she does what you tell her. XO? Paging the XO? Yeah, Captain. Everybody make a sanity roll.
40.
I pass it. Nice.
I pass it.
I miss it.
Take another stress. There are 2 dead people walking around, and the captain goes, "Could you please come to the computer room?" And you hear, Okay. Any way that you're preparing for this gentleman to show up, or?
I mean,
I'm gonna get
got
my
my vibe shitty in case anything bad goes down.
I'm gonna get my cybernetic diagnostic scanner and just be fiddling with it and be scanning him on the low.
Okay. When he walks into the room, he has an enormous hole in his forehead that you guys can see, you know, the corridor behind him through. And his teeth are made of metal. And he's like, hello. And I don't know. I'm making you make another sanity save.
All of us?
Yeah.
Failed.
I critically passed with the 000 again.
Okay. Oh, that means critically. Yeah, that critically passed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that, Jimmy, I'm going to go ahead and give you on purpose the laser focus, which means you have advantage on all rolls for D10 hours. And I'm going to give you a resolve. Okay. So every point of resolve you have gives you a -1 to all rolls on the panic effect table. If resolve brings your panic effect roll to 0 or less, then there's no effect. Oh, okay. So you get a point of resolve. Write down that you have a point of resolve.
Got it.
So he's like looking at you like, you asked for me, Captain. And she's like, yeah, Jerry, you're confined to quarters for the time being. Very well.
What does my cybernetic scanner say?
Your cybernetic scanner. You mean your health scanner, your med scanner?
I got both.
Oh, you do.
Yes.
Well, he has portions of him that are now artificial, that are no longer flesh and blood, and specifically, he does not he's missing a large chunk of his brain and his cerebral cavity, but you see that there's a lot of like kind of computer machinery like embedded in his chest now.
Hey, Jerry, do you want my hat?
Thank you, Matthew.
Hey, no problem, man.
So confined to quarters then. Very well. And he heads out the door toward his quarters.
All right, we got to go up to that bridge.
Okay. Are you all going to the bridge?
Yeah, I guess so.
The captain's going with you. When you arrive in the bridge.
How about Langley?
Langley, she's like, I mean, I probably should stay down here near the engines, right?
Well, you're the one who would be most equipped to understand any of this stuff.
What do you mean? I mean,
you're the engineer.
Yeah, all right. Okay, sure.
I've never built a gold robot.
Yeah, well, neither have I, okay? But fine. Fuck it. Fine. Okay, McGann, I'm coming.
Good.
So everybody is riding the lift up to the bridge level. Then you get out and you look through the blast doors, and now you all see the extremely strange, like low-hung kind of design to the new bridge, the weird columns, the strange, like kind of large, like electron microscope set up in the center of the room.
It's all very Scandinavian.
It's very Scandinavian. It's very Flarfid-Nugan. And you see the two pods sitting on tripods right inside the doorway to the bridge. And beyond that, you see in his underwear, Son Phillips like tapping things into the computers in like kind of a captain's crash, like putting things in. And he's like, oh, hello, everyone.
Captain's on the bridge.
Right. And he stands in his underwear like this, like as the captain. And the captain's like, thank you. And she walks over the threshold into the bridge, and suddenly the pods open, turn to her, lights pop out of them, and they're like, stop. look into the light. Stop. Look into the light. And she's like, what do I do?
Not that.
We have to see what happens.
Yeah, but not on the captain.
All right, I'll do
said-
it. I'll do it.
No, Lopez,
you're
no. I think if anyone does it,
Have me do it.
She pulls her gun. Right after McGann goes, don't do that. She's like, right, fuck it. She pulls her gun, and now I want everybody to roll speed.
oh,
Now I get a plus 1d10 on this, right? Because of the adrenaline?
That's right.
Okay.
Wait, no. Let me read exactly what it said. Advantage. You get advantage.
Oh, I get
friend.
advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All
you
right.
roll twice, take the better of the two rolls.
I rolled a 13 for my speed.
I rolled a 10. Boom.
22 is the better of the two.
Okay. Who succeeded on their speed roll? That's all I need to know.
We all did.
Okay, you all did. So you all get to go before Vitorello and whatever these things are, whatever they're planning on doing. So who has the highest? What are your speeds? Oh, I have them right here, actually. Let's see. I've got a 45, a 31, and a 39.
Right.
So Jimmy, Matt McGann, you have a 45. You go first. What would you like to do?
So right now, what's happening is the captain is about to
pulled
fire
her sidearm. Yeah, she pulled her sidearm, and the things were like aiming those lights at her and saying, "Look into the light."
and she was about to shoot the thing. Maybe.
Well, ostensibly, you told her, you were like, "Don't do what they say." Time to choose. It's action time. What are you doing?
Okay, I'm going to try to take the gun out of her hand.
Okay, great. You run up, and you can use close combat to try to do that.
Okay. Not good. Well, do I have advantage on this too, or no?
You have advantage on everything for a while.
Okay.
For 1d10 hours.
And what's my close combat? I'm looking at strength or
9
speed?
hours.
Speed?
Close combat. Add it to your combat. So
My
you, have
combat roll.
combat, you do not have a close combat skill, correct?
No, I do not.
No. So you are just rolling under your combat. But you are rolling.
Yeah, I missed it. I missed it.
You missed both times. So
Yeah.
Matt lurches forward. Matt, you are now in the room, but you have not got the gun from Vitorello. And now I'm going to go with our next speed, which is, I believe, Jimmy DeUse.
Okay. So I'm going to also try and did we get off that disarm?
No.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and help disarm the captain too, because we don't know if bullets work against these things. We don't know what's going to happen, and also we don't know if we kill it, this bridge will disappear while we're all in space.
Yeah.
Okay, I have advantage as well. I failed that first roll. And what am I rolling on this speed again?
You are just you just rolling combat, but you can add your close combat. You're just rolling your combat stat, but you have close quarters combat.
Yes.
You're adding plus 15% to your combat when you do that.
Okay, awesome. So then that's going to be 60. Oh. I did succeed that. That is with 27. And I had to roll under. I was gonna say 60, but I was gonna say also 65, because technically now that my commander is alive, I have a friendly Marine nearby, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, but I succeeded either way, even without that.
Okay, so here's what happens. You also have to kind of run into the room to do this, and you manage to pull the gun out of her hand. That is ranked insubordination, but I guess that you don't care right now. So you do have the gun, and that's what you've done. Dr. Callista Lopez, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna take a stim pack and watch.
Okay, great. You take a stim pack. It has the effect that we talked about before, which I believe is, I don't have that in front of me. Maybe Clint can pop in a second and tell you, but you're kind of standing back to watch. And now it will be the non-player characters who will go. And the first ones to go will be the weird pod things, which are very fast. And the first thing that they do is attack the captain. They unfold, and they have 4 blades that come out of the center of their chassis, and they start spinning those blades toward her. Okay. Okay. All right. So they both attack her at the same time. They spin around. Their blades just kind of like, spin around them like a rotor. And they saw into her. And they saw one of her arms off. And they saw deep into her torso. Blood flashes out of her. She screams, but it's cut off because she's dead before she hits the ground.
No.
Everybody needs to give me a fear roll.
Do I get advantage on that as well?
Every roll.
Advantage on everything.
And I passed it too.
Fail.
Okay, you take a point of stress, Dr. Lopez. And Dr. Lopez, you also can add 2d10 to your health temporarily.
What?
Because of your
stress do in game terms? Like, what are we supposed to be adding that to the panic rolls, or?
Yeah, when you roll panic, you'll add the stress to the panic.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, that's correct. And that happens when you take a lot of damage or you take a lot of critical miss. Okay, so you guys have just seen the captain be ripped apart by these things, which are still spinning and moving about the room. Harriet Langley, who's back with the doctor, goes, "Oh, fuck!" and starts running back toward the elevator. And Sohn Phillips starts stepping forward toward all of you and going, No. Just comply. Just do what they say. Just comply with them.
Who are they and what do they want?
You comply. You comply.
Yeah, comply.
Chief, look into the light and let's see what happens.
Okay, well, it is no longer his turn. It is now Matt McGann's turn again. So what would you like to do, Matt McGann?
I'm going to run to whatever the nearest control panel of this ship is and see if there's anything that looks like it might disable the robots from the bridge controls.
Great. You run over there and you can give me a disable the bridge controls. Why don't you give me a pilot roll?
All right.
Disable the robots is what you're looking
at. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Give me a pilot roll.
29.
Okay, so there is the controls are sort of indecipherable now. They look like they're a completely alien schematic that you are unfamiliar with. But as a pilot, as someone who has some piloting skill, you do notice that the ship is moving in a different direction than it was before. And now let's have Jimmy DeUse go and do what he'd like to do. And Jimmy, some of what you were just saying might be what you're doing this round, telling your chief to do. I
tell the chief to do, and I walk up to one of the pods and say, "What happens when we comply?"
Okay, that's great. I'll let you know how they respond in a moment. But first, Dr. Callista Lopez can go.
I'm going to get out Sickler's gun, which I had before, and just have it ready. And
okay, great.
Keep watching.
Yeah, just want to remind you, because you took a stim pack, that you have 2d10 added to your health, and you have 2d10 added to your strength and combat for, I'm going to tell you how many hours. For 7 hours right now.
Okay.
So ostensibly for the rest of the game, unless we cut a scene that takes hours away from us.
Yes.
So we're now going to go to the enemy, and the first thing that's going to happen is that the machines are going to start moving their eyes around, and they're like pointing their lights at people. And Jimmy gets into their face, and he's just said, "What happens when we comply?" Right? And now the chief that he was telling, like, "You comply." The chief runs over and leans down in front of one of the machines, and the machine puts its light right into his eye, and then it's like, "Chief Security Officer identified." And then on the main view screen, you see like Stone Phillips's like ident file like come up for a second, like admitted, and then when it's pointing its light at you, Jimmy, and you're saying, what happens when we comply, do you let it put its light into your eye?
I go for it.
The light hits Jimmy Duce in the eye, and then you see, boom, his ident file comes up on the main view screen, and it says, Marine Jimmy Duce, admitted. And they move away from you.
Okay, sweet.
These are just our new security officers, I guess.
Yeah, the captain really should have calmed down.
Yeah, and then that's when so there are Captain Zoe Vitarello parts all over the floor, and Stone Phillips is like looking down at them, and he looks up at you. He still has that huge hole in the middle of his chest. His head is still larger than it was before, and he's like, "Yes, these are an improvement. They still admit you to the bridge. You just have to submit to a retinal scan." God damn it. And he goes
like
over
you're
there.
obsolete, Jimmy.
All right, I'll do a retinal scan as well.
Dr. Callista Lopez admitted.
All right, and then I'm going to go to the sensor array and figure out where we are.
Okay. So a couple things happen like this. You have noticed, Matt McGann, that we're traveling in a different direction. And when you look over at the sensor array, you see that it has targeted on a specific object. And it is a metal thing flying through space away from you. And the ship is headed as fast as it can toward that object. And then Stone Phillips turns to Jimmy Duce and is like, don't worry about Zoe. We can fix her.
Where are we going? I saw you fiddling with some stuff before we ended up on the bridge. What's that thing we're following?
That's the extraterrestrial that healed us and gave me life.
And why are we following it?
Because this is a first contact situation. It is of extreme.
Yeah, but that's not the
That's
mission.
what I was saying to Zoe. I was telling Zoe that we should communicate with these people.
We don't have enough food to follow them, Chief. We should report back and then keep contact.
We're not the USS John Lennon Einstein here either. We're on a mission here. We got to go home.
Zoe won't be complaining anymore. She will go along with the plan when
You're not the captain.
I mean,
yeah.
No, I'm not. But I assure you that when the captain returns to us, she will agree with this plan.
Oh, why? Because you'll have put something in her head to make her agree?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I love Zoe, but if Zoe stops complaining, it's not really Zoe anymore. You know what I mean?
What are we following this thing for?
So that we can learn. So that we
That's
can
not the mission.
the largest discovery that
We're here to make experiments on crew members in deep space about their physiologies and report back to Win AMF, which is what I intend to do. I want to go home. I'm not out here trying to see whether ET phones home or not.
You're only saying that because you haven't been fixed yet.
And that's never going to happen.
Yeah, you're the only one in here who's been fixed, which means you're the only one in here who we really can't trust.
You
Chief.
have to be repaired. Your minds are not working at 100% efficiency.
Oh, you mean they're not too big for my head and my eyes aren't bugging out?
I mean, I did just take a stim pack, so I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
It's really only one configuration that I'm capable of now. I'm extremely energized, I'm comfortable, and I am in my own right mind. You're starving, you're panicked. Come over to this station and submit for repairs. And he goes to a large telescope thing, and he starts like moving dials on it and moves the head kind of angled a little bit more toward you.
I'll do it.
I promise you, it's completely painless.
I'll do it.
Dr.
Very
Lopez.
good. Dr. Lopez moves forward. And Stone Phillips says, thank you. The ship needs you. You are a vital part of this crew. Place your hand under this nozzle right here.
I place my hand under the nozzle.
Suddenly, there is a like a little jab. It only hurts for a nanosecond. And now I need you to make a body roll.
Ooh, I fail.
Okay. Suddenly you're like, ah, and you like fall to your knees for a moment. You're kind of like sweating. It feels like you just ran a marathon. What would Jimmy and Matt McGann like to do during this?
I'm gonna sit out this this fixing. You know, I don't.
Oh, keep going.
Oh no, that's pretty much my stance. I just kind of sit in my chair watching Dr. Lopez and Stone with my SMG kind of slung around me.
I'm gonna do my best to change course on the ship. I'm gonna get us to stop following that thing.
Okay. Stone Phillips says, I was afraid that you'd do something like this. And I want you to know that submitting for repairs is a completely of your own free will. I'm not going to force you to do this. And the captain may give an order when she has been revived, but are you sure that you want to try to change course right now?
You're the security officer. You don't outrank me on or does he? Would I just have to follow his orders under normal protocol?
You would actually have to.
Well,
Chief,
Chief,
don't do anything.
Does Helen Langley outrank him?
Harriet Langley ran away.
Yeah, Chief.
Yeah, but he's still available by hail. Can I get her to lock him out of the system?
Okay, so you want her to lock him out of the system? Is that what
Harriet Soam is compromised by some alien intelligence? We need you to lock him out of the system and reroute the ship.
He walks over to a bank of like alien machinery and starts like typing extremely fast into it and moving like little things and like pressing down on pads.
I'm at a terminal too. Can I do anything?
You can do an opposed roll against him.
Okay.
That opposed roll will be a piloting roll.
And while they do that, I'm gonna pop a stim pack too.
Okay, great. You do that.
And I pop it. So
I missed them both.
I've killed you before, and I'd hate to say it, but I'm not afraid to kill you again.
He's like, I'm afraid I had to lock you out of the controls, McGann, because you don't understand what we're trying to do here.
What you're trying to do. That's not the mission of this ship, Soam.
Now,
you're disobeying a direct order, Soam, and you can be called up for disciplinary action by the company. You're risking the ship against orders.
I'm just not convinced that your concern for this ship is valid. I mean, we have a way of healing our systems, of healing our bodies.
We have a mission that we all signed up for, Soam, and right now your actions are contrary to that mission.
So just not a few hours ago, I told you that your daughter graduated from her high school. You telling me you don't want to see your daughter?
I'll see my daughter when she is uplifted like the rest of us.
I open fire on him.
Okay,
I open fire.
Great. Let's all roll speed again.
Yeah. 87.
Fail.
56.
So fail and a fail. And then how did you do, Callista Lopez?
I failed.
Okay. So Callista Lopez, your body is reconfiguring itself, and it will have done so in 8 rounds. But for now, you have your own stats, but everything's at disadvantage because your body is like moving. It's moving energy to other parts like very rapidly.
How do I feel?
You feel, as I said, like you have just run like 3 marathons in a row, and then like collapsed onto the floor. Like you feel like completely exhausted and overheated, like sweat is pouring off of you. You're like unable to keep yourself from drooling, like, all the marathon stuff that happens to people.
All right. I would like to leave all of it.
Did you succeed in your speed roll?
I did not.
Okay, so none of you did. So I'm going to have the other characters act first, okay? And so the first thing that you notice is that Zoe Vitorello suddenly goes, and like the arm that's missing like raises up, and let's see what that looks like. Let's see what changes have occurred with old Zoe here. Okay, yeah. So the arm that was cut off by the robot now has like several extra joints and is extending out like almost like 6 feet from her body, and has like a long claw on the other. And in addition to that, oh yeah, she's like moving strangely, like like that, and she's like up with everybody else. Sohn Phillips. Yep. Sohn Phillips, like suddenly you see that he's like, and then suddenly his cranial cavity starts to shrink, and you see his muscles start to ripple in like kind of a repeating pattern, as like it looks like he's literally moving mass in his body to other parts of his body. That's what the two of them do. And sure. Okay, so I need to know what you guys do, and we'll start with Matt McGann, who has the fastest speed.
Can I talk as well as perform an action?
You can say something, but you can't say like 3 sentences in a row. You can say like one short sentence.
Doc, you may want to get off the bridge before you know what's going to happen to you.
Okay. And then what would you like to do?
Then I'm going to try to go back into the system, and I'm just going to keep trying because I'm right by the controls. I'm going to see anything I can do to thwart the directions that Sohn has given the ship.
Well, he's put in some kind of like extra like double authentication password, and lacking any kind of computer skill, I'm going to need you to roll your pilot at disadvantage. And I'm going to say that it's going to take more than one roll to kind of break into the controls at this point.
Well, the disadvantage piloting check failed.
Okay, so you are fucking like getting nowhere, but you can keep trying if you choose to. But right now I'm going to go to Jimmy Duce. Jimmy, you are opening fire, right?
Yeah, because I say, I look him in the face and say, nah, there's no way you're Sohn. Because Sohn, the first thing he told me when we got on this ship is he wanted this job done so he can see his daughter graduate. And I just start busting. So that first one was good, but I'm going to just roll, see if I can get a crit. Yeah, I make it. But
okay.
No
you make it no crit. Okay, so let's see. He's just gonna roll. I believe he rolls his armor. Or no, how does this work exactly? I'm trying to look up my combat thing here. So you made your he rolls his. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay. And what's the damage from the SMG again?
Let me bring that up.
It's 4d10.
Thank you.
Great, that's a lot, right?
Let me just get the singular ones. I get you. Ooh. All right. Ooh. 26.
Okay, 26 damage. Okay, so you open up on him with your SMG, like, and he didn't like really seem like he was preparing for that. He was like doing like some kind of weird thing where he was like moving mass through his body. So he just kind of like takes it right in the chest and falls back against the computer equipment. And now I'm just going to do a little check to see if you accidentally hit some of the machinery in here.
Ooh.
And guess what? You did. So things like kind of spark, and then like weird like poof, like bursts of like puffs of gas come out of them. not like the bridge controls you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Matt McGann, you're getting all kinds of weird readouts on your navigational controls. And now we come to Dr. Callista Lopez.
I would like to go back to the med bay.
Okay. You begin running back to the med bay, and you are like really hurting. But I think that by the time you get there, the turns will be up that you were going through this thing that you're going through, if that makes sense. So like, but right now, you're just like having to crawl your way there. You fall into the elevator this turn, and the elevator starts going down. And then we come back to my NPCs. So let's see. Zoe Vitarello looks up at you. Her eyes are completely filled with blood. There's still like blood leaking from her mouth. She seems like her face just says insanity. Like she looks at like the claw on her arm and just starts screaming. And let's see how she acts. Yeah, she doesn't do so well in her panic roll. So let's see how she panics.
Hopefully not violently.
Hopefully. Okay. Okay, so she's permanently and irreparably insane. I'm going to rule that that's going to be her round, is going irreparably insane. And then I'm going to have Son Phillips take his turn. And what he's going to do on his turn is all of those holes in his chest that you just opened up with the SMG, Jimmy, you just see them start to like close or like kind of like smooth over. And then his head, which is like this, suddenly goes like, this is really silly. You need to stop fighting this. You're being a fool. He's doing that while his body literally re-knits itself in front of you. And now it is Matt McGann's turn again.
It doesn't look like I'm getting anywhere with the ship's controls. My basic idea was just to try to make them, if the ship turned around, then Soam would have to deal with that, and then we would be able to get another round on him. But it doesn't look like that's working. Callista's gone. Can I ask the warden, did it look like there was a chance that Jimmy's gun could have affected Soam, or did it look like it was just like
it did affect him a lot. He took a ton of damage, and right now spent an entire turn just trying to close.
Right. Then I'm going to attack Soam with my vibrachette.
Great. What are you? Where are you attacking him? What are you doing to him?
Trying to cut his head off.
Okay, great.
And I've got advantage on that roll for my adrenaline.
Yeah, you do. Go for it.
So my strength is 43, and I made it 04. I don't know how I'm going to beat that roll, but I'll try for a crit. I did not get a crit, but I got an 04.
Okay, great. You cut hard at his neck as he's like speaking to Jimmy in like this admonishing way, and the head goes off the body and rolls onto the floor, spraying arterial fluid, and lays there dead, and the body just sort of like flops inert beneath it.
Okay.
I think
now let's get this ship back home and figure out how we're going to explain this stuff.
Now I'm going to go to the elevator lift stops on the. You're going to the med bay, is that correct? Mm-hmm. The elevator floor it stops on the second deck for the med bay. The doors come open, and standing there waiting to get into it is Jerry Sickler.
Jerry. All right, I'm gonna say, excuse me, Jerry, I'm going to the med bay, and just try to push past him.
He goes, you have been repaired.
Yeah, no, I've been repaired. I'm going to the med bay. I'm going to learn more about my repair, Jerry. It's not your business.
Yes. He smiles at you. and then steps into the lift to go up. And you start toward the med bay. Okay,
I
guys.
should have stopped him so he wouldn't attack my friends. But my body's going through transformations right now.
Things are changing for you. What are my Marine and my Teamster doing in the bridge right now?
So now I'm trying to help him reroute the ship too.
I want to close the doors of the bridge.
Okay.
Down there.
Great. You close the blast doors to the bridge. Well, actually, it's actually my NPCs before your turn, so I need to let them do things. But you know what? I'm going to let you do this too. I'm going to let you go ahead and you just have to hit a button, and the doors to the bridge, chong, the blast doors go closed. And Zoe Vitarello, with her new mantis arm, yeah, she is just kind of lurching around the ship, like, and like can't quite, is trying to walk toward you, but she can't get her like legs to work correctly. Like she can't figure out human locomotion.
Captain, just stay over there. Stay over there, please. We'll fix you. We'll really fix you when we get home. Come on.
Suddenly, so now it's Son Phillips's turn, and what he does is he stands up with no head. And now you see like a bunch of like new organs are moving around in his chest, and one of them pops open an eye, and muscles are filling up his arms, and he lurches forward to attack Matt McGann with a close quarters attack. And you are not going to believe this, but even though his strength or his combat is currently 70, he just rolled a 71. So maybe those new eyes in his chest weren't quite doing the job he wanted to yet, but he lurches at you and misses you, and that is their turn. So now, but I think for seeing all this, you guys need to give me one more sanity save.
Oh yeah. Oh, I pass it.
You fail?
Yes.
Okay, you get another point of stress, my friend.
I'm at 6.
I pass it. I'm fueled by anger, seeing my captain forget his daughter.
Okay, Matt McGann, what would you like to do?
Fighting this guy seems pointless. Is there a way to shove him outside the bridge so I could close the blast doors on him as well? I mean, that's a kind of a complicated action because I have to open him again.
Yeah, if you want to,
that might let Jerry on the bridge.
Well, it might. Yeah, you have to open them again. You could also see what were you originally kind of seeing? What if the controls will let you change course or something like that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing all your options out there. I don't think that's stupid to like open the blast doors and then like. You know, you can tell Jimmy to push him out. You know,
yeah, we can work
good.
together.
I'm gonna go, Jimmy, can you shove him out the door so we can have some alone time?
You're damn right.
Okay, so you're gonna open the blast doors again, right?
Yeah.
And then as you do that, you see that the elevator is like down the hall is like ticking up toward the bridge deck, and now it is Jimmy's turn.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use I'm gonna do something wild. So I'm gonna push out Son, but as I push him out, I'm gonna pull a fragnade and put it in one of his holes and push him out before the blast doors close.
Okay. That's awesome. Here's the thing. We're pulling a grenade, but you have advantage, right, on everything.
Yeah.
Right now. So give me a close quarters combat roll. I would give you advantage, but you already have advantage. You just have a regular roll right now.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, close quarters combat. I get 15 on. Okay, cool.
Come on, Jimmy.
All right. Oh man. All right. Here it is. This should be good. Hold on. Yeah, I make it. 21. Yeah.
Fucking pull the grenade, stuff it into his whatever into one of the crevices in his chest, and you push him out of the blast doors, and you're right there, McGann, so you can just slam him again, and they go, and boom, the frag grenade goes off. Suddenly down in the med bay, like all these like the only one in the room with you now is Zoe Vitarella, who's just like waving around her weird like mantis appendage. And I think that you are now showing a breach in the corridor between the elevator and the bridge. Like it's like literally like losing oxygen, and
we're gonna blow up our bridge again.
So I think we are out of combat right now. And I think that you may have, with that awesome move, like at least eliminated immediate threats to you. But we do have to end the game soon, and I think it's time for us to find out what Dr. Lopez does down in Medbay.
I want to extract one of the little light things from my blood, because I'm assuming that I now have those in my blood, and try to analyze those and figure out what one of those is.
Yeah, why don't you give me a genetics roll?
I make it.
So you're not sure. These are like microscopic robots, commonly known as nanites. No human government, or you've never heard of these being used by human. They're still theoretical. And they are able to even like move like very tiny molecules around. So basically, you yourself feel yourself changing now, Dr. Lopez, and all of your stats, your attributes are now 45.
Oh, they're all 45?
Except for the fact that anytime that you want to, you can move some of your stats to a different place. They just go out of the other stats.
Okay.
The only side effect to this, though, is that I do think that when this happens to you, you panic.
Okay.
Because it's such a strange thing to happen to a human body. So why don't you give me a roll, and we'll see how you did on the old panic table.
I don't make it.
So you didn't make it on a sanity, right?
Oh no, I made it on a sanity. I didn't make it on a fear. I made it on a sanity.
Okay, you made but I'm saying that because this isn't even a sanity save. This is
You go right to the panic.
you go right to the panic table. So what I need you to do is just add 2 dice together, roll them and add them together.
27.
Oh, that's not good. Roll 2 more times.
Does he
Remember to add your stress to the total too.
A 5 and a 2.
A 5 and a 2?
Yes.
With your sanity, with your stress added.
Oh no, I'm sorry. My stress is 8.
Okay, so you actually got a 10 and a 13. Okay. You gain 2 more stress, and you now have like a nervous twitch. And you, for the next 1d10 hours, you must make a fear save to engage in any kind of combat. You have become cowardly.
Okay.
That's all that's happened to you.
3 hours.
So that's all that's happened to you for now. And we have to end the game, but I kind of want to know before we do. I want a resolution to this story. So what is Dr. Lopez planning on doing? And don't even, Matt McGann and Jimmy, don't even get in on this, because you're in like a bridge that's cut off from the rest of the ship by an enormous hull breach created by a frag grenade.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what to do about that. I was going to try to use the newfangled controls on the bridge to see if it could do anything about repairing the breach.
I figure that's what you're doing. Yeah, and I think it's probably at least a couple hours of work. So I'm really more interested in what Dr. Lopez.
Okay.
I mean, I'm really at a loss. At this point, I think I might try to go down to the computer and use my newly augmented intelligence to like steer us back. But but I'm really, what's not augmented is my certainty.
You want to steer us back. By steer us back, what do you mean?
Back towards Earth.
Very good.
Whatever we.
You can move as many points as you want into intellect, and you can also move your skills on like kind of a 1-for-1 basis. So you can move like a skill like from, say, your mathematics. You could move it to 0G if that's what you needed. You could move it into computers right now. I think that's you could move it into computers, and then you could move like another skill into hacking because you have the prerequisite of computers. That's how these nanites work. They can move around your brain matter and things like that.
I'm taking 15 from everything and putting it into intellect.
Great.
And then I am going to take my psychology, my chemistry, and my linguistics, maybe something else to get hyperspace. I'm going to build up to hyperspace and then try to solve this problem.
I think that you can go ahead and roll hyperspace, and you're also using kind of computers to kind of reroute all of the systems so that you can control them from the computer.
Yes. Well, my skill was 90, unmodified, plus 15 or plus 20%, because of it's a master skill, and I rolled a 1.
Callista Lopez gets into the computer room, reroutes all controls to the computer room, overrides all controls, then sets a course astrogating for Earth, and then hits the hyperdrive. You'll be at Earth in 7 hours. And at that point, Susie and everyone else will finally be repaired.
Oh, no.
And that's the end of our adventure.
Wow.
Or will it continue? Can Jimmy and Matt McGann stop this from happening in Earth orbit? Maybe we'll play another session. Guys, you were amazing. I want to thank my guests, John Roy, Guy Branum, and Ify Nwadiwe. Thank you guys so much for being here.
We did our best.
Well, I think you actually succeeded. I mean, like, I didn't know how you were going to get that guy off the bridge at all, but you managed to do it. The thing that kind of shot you in the ass is that one of your players turned turncoat.
I thought I was helping.
You're going back to Earth with a ship that's infected with nanites that turn people into cyborg constructions. Yeah, sure, that's helping. Guys, is there anything you want to say to anybody out there that's still watching, like where else they can check you out, or something that you want to tell them about?
Yeah, I'll kick it off since I'm the top right.
Thank you.
You can catch me right here on Twitch. Ifties, playing that new Final Fantasy VII remake. It's gorgeous.
Ooh.
Some Valorant. And yeah, I'm going to be running my own Mothership game. Jared inspired me. It's not going to be as cool and heady as Jared's. Mine's just probably going to be a straight up monster because there's no way I can craft these like weirdo, like ethical trolley going on a railroad track hitting various amounts of people style problems that he can.
I take that all as a compliment and really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to check out your Mothership game. Guy or John, anything you want to let them know about?
Guy?
My niece got a new puppy, so people can check me out in the peach orchard across the street from my mom's house, where I'm quarantining for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I always forget we're in quarantine. Yeah.
Yes. Walking the puppy.
I'm going to be keeping 6 feet away from everybody except my wife and cat. But you can see me. You can hear me on Legends of the Painting Men, which is a podcast I do about Warhammer with Andrew DeWitt. It is absurd, but if you're any interest in Warhammer and also in listening to two weirdos bullshit about a bunch of shit, it's a pretty good listen. It's called Legends of the Painting Men. And also, my wife and I, through quarantine, every day at 4:30, we do a porch cast on my wife Angela Schramm's Instagram. It's 10 minutes. We just talk about whatever happened that day, and we've been doing that. So just look for Angela Schramm on Instagram, SZRAM, and we do that every day at 4:30.
Ooh. You got to do a painting stream, John.
We do. We do on the Patreon. We have a paint and chat that me and that's only $3 for the Legends of the Painting Man Patreon. So it's a really good deal.
Please check that out. I love Andrew and I love Warhammer. So check that out as well. Guys, this is A Stream of Blood. We will be back 6 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday for our 4th chapter in our Vampire the Masquerade Vampires of Pittsburgh campaign. I am sure we will play Mothership again Sunday. Next Sunday at 1:30, we will be playing Cthulhu Dark Ages with Humphrey Carr, Becca Scott, and Jackie Cation. So
that'll be good.
Nice.
Yeah,
please be sure to tune into that. And I'm going to hang out just for a little bit longer. If anybody has any questions or any comments they want to make, you guys are welcome to hang out or leave. But thanks one more time to all of our players. I'm giving them digital rounds of applause.
Thanks so much. This was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You guys thanks Clancy for watching the whole time. I had a really good time playing the game. That one, I don't know why. I felt like it was getting away from me for a second, but then Ify is a fantastic player and he gave me the perfect climax.
Didn't he though?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to run a Mothership game. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, he told us last time that he was going to do it, so I can't wait to see that.
That's great.
I think we got to get out of here. I think we got to leave.
Doesn't look like the no questions in the chat, but thanks so much for sticking around, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you again on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Be sure to check out Vampires of Pittsburgh because it's everything you want out of a game about Pittsburgh. And also maybe if you're into vampires, but mainly come for the Pittsburgh ambiance. I'll see you soon. Oh, and be sure if anytime you want to write to our YouTube page, leave comments on Twitch, wherever you watch, and let us know what game you'd like us to play because we will play when you give those suggestions. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.